In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the balancing elements and the window design guidelines. Basically, the balancing elements are needed in order to equally distribute the controls spatially within a window. Aligning borders are used for proper placing of the window controls wherever possible. If more than one control with a border is incorporated within a column on a screen, then we try to align them left and right borders of all groups. Try to establish the left and right border positions according to the space required by the widest element within the groups. With multiple groupings and multiple columns, create a balanced screen by maintaining equal column widths and heights as much as needed. If more than one section with borders is incorporated within a column on a screen, then try to align the left and right borders of all the groups and establish the left and right border positions according to the spacing required by the widest element present in the group. With multiple groupings and multiple columns, we always try to create a balance by maintaining equal column heights and width as much as needed. Thus, screen balance should be attained as much as possible. Therefore, do not sacrifice screen functionality to achieve this balance. However, never rearrange the controls to simply make the screen look nice. A meaningful order of elements is most important. The look will be the best that can be achieved within the limits imposed by functionality. While these guidelines suggest aligning sections, radio buttons and checkboxes on the right side as well as the left side, an instance the justification and contents border were not right aligned because the text boxes within that group created. Moving on to control navigation. Use the tab key to move between operable window controls in the logical order that the controls are organized. Do not tab to control captions, but the control itself. For a group of radio buttons, use arrow keys to move through an array of buttons. For checkboxes, use the tab key to move between them when they are arrayed as independent controls. When the checkboxes are located within a border or group box, use arrow key to move between the boxes since they appear as a logical group. Always use arrow keys to navigate within a listing of choices. Tap to exiting or expanding the feature dialog box buttons at the end of the screen control the tabbing sequence. If a button has a contingent relationship to a control in the window body, tap to it at the logical point in the tabbing sequence within the window. Use keyboard equivalents or mnemonics shortcuts for direct access to each window control whenever possible. The command buttons OK and Cancel are not typically assigned mnemonics. The Enter and Escape keys can instead be used. Moving on to window guidelines. These guidelines and many other that are already being discussed are used to organize the windows to support the user's tasks. Support the most common tasks in a most efficient sequence of steps. Therefore, always try to minimize the number of windows needed to accomplish an objective. In general, present all related information in a single window whenever it is possible. A window should be large enough to accommodate the amount of data a person would typically expect to see. The needed information can only be determined through a thorough task analysis. The necessity of window scrolling should always be avoided whenever possible. If all the relevant controls or data cannot be placed within the confines of a single window, then place that which is less frequently needed on some other window. Do not make a default size of a window to be the full screen. The option to maximize a window always exists. Finally, use primary windows, secondary windows, and dialog boxes consistently in the manner they are intended to be used. Moving on to some web page guidelines. Web page layouts and navigation principles that have previously been studied must also be considered when we try to design a web page. So this slide summarizes important principles in the web page designing. Well organized, thoughtfully laid out and consistent web pages will permit people to easily learn a site's structure, allow users to effectively and quickly scan its pages, and foster interest in its contents. A well-designed page will possess the following qualities. First one, efficiency. A page will be more powerful if more is said with less. Every element of the design must support the goal of the message being presented. Always try to eliminate all superfluous elements. Avoid clutter that prevents people from finding what they want. Exercise extreme care in using decorative elements. Logical and consistent. Locate important page elements in consistent locations on all pages. A logical and consistent layout of a site and its pages will enable people to quickly find what they are looking for. A layout that matches a person's expectations speeds learning and enables prediction of where to find things and how to do things. Logical and inconsistent structures lead only to user frustrations. And always see to that the page layouts are self-explanatory. Each page should be self-explanatory, giving a clear indication of what website it belongs to and where it fits within the structure of the website's information space. Present the proper information and arrange it so the user always know where they are. Remember, most pages can be accessed from outside the site. Let the web pages be scannable. Allow people to easily scan a page and select relevant and useful information. To foster scannability, include headings that accurately reflect the content of the text. Also create short paragraphs and use simple bulleted lists. Avoid the use of too many links and use of plenty of white spaces. Lastly, properly balance the textual information, graphics, and the navigation links on the web page. A page's element must balance, interact with, and support each other. As mentioned earlier, studies show people prefer textual content. So do not clutter up the page with too many graphics, particularly at the top. Large top graphics may push more textual content and navigation links off to the bottom of the page where they cannot be seen. Always make sure that the text is visible first so people can start reading it right away. Conversely, densely packed text will be difficult to read. Long and detailed textual information can usually be put on to secondary web pages. Moving on to layout grids. In order to provide both the structure and consistency to a web page, try to establish a standard layout grid or grids for each of these web pages or sites pages. Grids may be necessary for site pages with different purposes for varying complexity. The design grids will be composed of rectangular sections into which the page's navigation components such as headings, text, and graphics will be placed. In order to develop these grids, gather representative samples of the contents of the site pages. Include all types of pages, navigation pages, content pages, simple pages, as well as complex pages. Experiment with various arrangements for all kinds of pages, painting or sketching the patterns of organization on sample pages. Follow all layout guidelines such as alignment, balancing, and so on, and evolving page organizational standards in sketching process. Establish a design grid for the identified page types by maintaining as much consistency between page types as possible. Plug in the content, that is the navigational components, text, or it may be graphics for each page. Ideally, one standard design grid may satisfy the needs of many websites. Larger sites with more content may require multiple grids. Keep in mind that fewer grids are better, and if you use simple grids or multiple grids, maintain as much consistency as possible between the grid layouts. Use of grids on all pages will provide a unifying character within and between the pages. A standard look and feel can be achieved. Regular and repeating the organizational patterns help the reader to understand the site's organization and aid them to maintain a sense of place. Grids allow pages to be laid out without the designer having to stop and rethink the basic design approach for every new page. Poor grids are haphazardly designed and there is little connection between the elements of the grid. A good grid reflects much greater alignment and better visual connection of elements. It is structured and is more consistent. Elements. Moving on to placing elements on the web pages. To keep page is simple. Restrict the number of distinct functional elements on a page. Elements include things like title, the navigation bar, and textual links listing the major site areas, could be textual content, graphics, and footer. The more elements on a page, the greater the competition between the elements for a person's attention. That is, too many elements will eventually overburden the user's information processing system. Moving on to the size of the web page. The page length must balance page lengths must be restricted to 2 or 3 screens of information. In laying out pages exceeding one screen in length, always consider where the browser window will cut off a page when it loads. If the break occurs at a logical point on the page and the page appears to fit totally on the screen, people may assume that it is the end. At that point, and look no further down. Where the potential screen cutoffs can occur, present a design element, either textual or graphical, that by its appearance is obviously not completed or finished. This signals the user that there is more below and indicates that there is a need to scroll down. While people can accept some vertical scrolling, horizontal scrolling is cumbersome and disliked. How should a web page be organized? So, critical or more important information should be placed where it will be immediately visible when the page is displayed. Information below the fold will usually require scrolling to access and may not always be seen. Positioning large images above the fold may cause the reader to assume there is no information further down the page. Generally, the top of the page should be more dense and packed with more useful and interesting information than the area lower down. Include in this area the page title, links to other important contents and pages, and summary information so the user can determine whether continued reading is desirable or not. Less important information should be positioned lower down in the page. The effect of presented information drops very quickly as one moves lower down the page. So visually, prioritize the page information space by establishing an information hierarchy using contrast, size, location pattern, and location pattern. Try to reduce the graphics complexity and textual density as one moves lower down a page or into the interior of the page. Produce thinning vertical gradients of complexity, provide quieter and less distracting design elements. This shall enable the people to focus on the content, which must have some interest because they have navigated that far. To be distracted by relevant information or useful animation at that point can be very irritating. So while you do formatting to enhance the readability and organization and make the page more inviting, allow sufficient amount of white spaces on each page. If fast reading is required, use line lengths of about 75 to 100 characters. If user preference is important, the length of about 50 to 60 characters is acceptable. and always try to avoid very narrow columns. Keep the text and any related graphics close to each other. Also keep chunks of related text in close proximity than unrelated text to ensure a connection. Provide sufficient horizontal spacing so that groupings of information are obvious. Use horizontal rules sparingly on the web pages. These rules can break up the page flow and signal a page end when it is not intended. And in case if distinctively different audiences exist for the presented information, then try to provide pages formatted for each audience. Anticipate the typical screen and resolution and specify the image safe area of the screen that will always be visible to most users. The most important information can be located here. This is not an ideal solution because users with very small screens will still have to scroll, and those with large screens will be viewing a page through a window that is smaller than the actual screen size. Similarly, make use of frames with caution. Frames can be confusing for many users. They can cause problems with scrolling, bookmarking, and printing. If person arrives at a framed page from a search facility, the page is seen without accompanying frames. The site name and a link on the home page must always be provided on the content page so that the user does not reach to an dead end. Moving on to difference between fixed page layouts and fluid page layouts. Layouts of a web page may either be fluid or fixed. The fluid layout is most traditional. The content of the web page filling the entire window, expanding and contracting the size of the window. The fluid layout is simplest to implement. Common fixed layouts are centered or left justified. The centered layout is centered within the boundaries of the display, requiring the user only focus on a narrower layout in the middle of the display, no matter what the screen resolution is being used. So moving on to navigation elements. Website contains at least 3 levels of navigation elements: global, local or site-wide, local or specific, and minor or footnote. Clearly differentiate these navigation elements from one another and locate them consistently from page to page. Commonly selected elements or items should be positioned close to the edge of the screen. Global or site-wide navigation elements provide access to site's total scope or categories of available information. An evolving standard in design is to locate the global navigation elements horizontally at the page top. Category or topical. Local, specific, and contextual navigation elements within the category or topical area being presented are typically displayed in columnar array down the left page side. Explicit or embedded links. Phrases or embedded links will be provided within the content area of a web page. An embedded link is one found in the middle of a continuous text, and embedded links are frequently used to lead to supporting information or provide definitions of the terms. Important links. For long scrolling pages, repeat important global or local links at the bottom of the web page. When finishing a page, the user then will not have to scroll upward to locate important navigation links. All pages must have navigation options. Never create pages without these navigation options. Moving on to how exactly a home page should be. A site's home page is concrete and visual anchor point, a safe haven to return to when one is confused or decides to do something else. A home page also gives people a first impression of the site, and the first impression can create a positive or a negative feeling. A negative first impression can lead to rejection, whereas a positive first impression can create an urge to explore further. Thus, in many ways, the home page is a site's important page. So, the elements that are included on the home page are the logo, tagline. It should have a proper content. The purpose of the content should be very clear, and it can have other elements such as a map, navigational links, or major sections, a small amount of useful content, and a search facility. So keep the home page on one screen. All important elements should be viewable without scrolling, so they will not be missed, and elements of less importance and those non-vital to the site's use may be included below the visible area. Position the masthead or banner at the top of the home page to identify the organization that hosts the website. Position the organization's logo in a consistent location on all pages, most commonly at the top left corner. This provides a confirmation from viewers about where they are or where they may have to go. And the home page should clearly identify the website's content and purpose. Describe who the site is intended for or of interest to. Describe the kinds of information available, and the home page must convince the users to stay by telling them what they will find within the site. This table 13.1 provides a summary of possible elements that can be placed on a web page. Together with it, it also describes the purpose of every component and its page frequency, as well as the locations wherein these components can be placed.